Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind Podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Thursday. It is September 5th. Technically, it's Wednesday night, September 4th, when we'll be recording live for YouTube, but it is going to come out on Thursday on the podcast stream. So I'll probably say Thursday, but it's NFL time. It's week 1, 2024-2025 season, and I'm joined today by my good buddy for a very long time, Derek, and you all know him in the DFS streets as Notorious. Noto, what's happening, my friend?
Stevie, we are back. Not only NFL, but me and you working together again. It's been far too long. We're two of the OGs back in the Senior Frogs days. We're a little bit older now. Our kids are old and going to school, all that fun stuff. But, man, so happy to be working with you again. Happy that NFL's starting, and, I'm pumped.
Yeah, I was thinking about it last night. I was like, we haven't done like a show weekly in a long time together. You know, me, you, and SBK back in the day would do a baseball show every week on the morning grind. And it's been a long time since like we've just worked together on a show. So I'm glad this all kind of worked out the way that it did. And we're able to jump on here and talk football every week. So we're going to do it true morning grind style as always. We'll go game by game, break down matchups that we might like, something to watch, maybe something that you don't like. So, and then at the end, we'll do the morning grind game where we'll give out some fantasy picks that we like, and also we'll give out some bets. So we'll have a betting portion of the morning grind game, just like we do for basketball and baseball. If you're tuning in and you're like, hey, where's the baseball show? There will be a second podcast on Thursdays when there are big baseball slates. So baseball will be later tonight. So I'm going to do baseball after this. And we're going to jump right in. We got a lot to talk about. Listen, football's back. A lot of people excited that football's back. Derek asked me before the show, he's like, are you excited? I'm like, sure. It's a really busy time of the year. I will be very pumped to watch like kickoff on Sunday. So like I want the excitement to come through as like, yeah, I'm pumped that football's back, but the work aspect of it is a lot. So we get started here. Jacksonville at Miami, 49 total in this game. Miami a slight 2.5 now. This game opened at I think 3 and at 49.5, but it's 3 or 2.5. Miami is a slight favorite here. So very fitting that we get started here with your favorite team against my favorite team. And right off the bat, one of the games of the week. We'll go Jacksonville first here. What do you like here for the Jags?
Yeah, line movement in favor of the Jags is a little interesting. I like the Dolphins in this one, but Jags bring back, most of the same guys from last year, other than their receiving core. Got rid of Calvin Ridley. I don't love a lot on the Jags side. I mean, they are going to have to put up points if they're going to keep up with Miami. I think Evan Ingram is certainly interesting coming off of a year where he had 114 receptions. It's kind of wild for a tight end. Other than that, I don't love a lot on Jacksonville. Do you have any more interest in them than I do?
I have a lot of interest in Evan Ingram. I'm glad you brought him up. Like, we're going to be playing a lot of Achane. We're going to be playing a lot of Tyreek. We'll throw in some Waddle. We'll throw in some Mostert. I don't know Tua with his price, how much like Tua will end up playing, because the skill position players, I feel like you just play them and be okay with it. But we'll talk about that in just a second. But yeah, I mean, we're going to be playing so much Miami in this game. I have to have something, right? Like, I love to stack in NFL. So I'll play some ETN. I really like Brian Thomas. His size is a guy, like, he's a big wide receiver that could be a huge red zone threat. So, and he's just underpriced across the industry for week 1. And we see this, like, pricing is not a thing in week 1, but I like Ingram a lot. I really like Brian Thomas, and I'll throw some shots on ETN. I will say, like, Miami's run defense was really solid last year, so it's not like this amazing spot by any means. That's where I'm kind of looking for the Jags. And then going over to the Dolphins, my boy Tyreek Hill, one of the top wide receiver plays on the slate. I just got done working on some of the expert survey, and Achane, I think, is just a guy that, like, if you play cash games, I think he is, like, one of the first pieces in at his price. What are your thoughts here on the Dolphins?
Yeah, no matter what projections you're looking at, Achan's going to pop, Tyreek Hill's going to pop. So you got to think they're going to put up points, especially at home. And, anytime we get the warm weather and the Dolphins, they're going to put up points. So I love Achan. I think he's too cheap for his upside. And, you mentioned cash games too. It just seems like he's got a little bit of everything when it comes to his floor and ceiling. And then, yeah, I'll mix them to a stacks, double stacks with Waddle, with Hill. I don't mind Jonnu Smith is kind of a sneaky guy. They didn't use a lot of their tight ends last year, but I think he could be a nice addition to this offense. And looks like he's only 3.5K on DraftKings. So he's a guy that I'll look to. Probably won't play any Mostert, but I'm going to try to get as much exposure to the Dolphins as I can. And I think I'm going to use them in my Survivor. I just think they run away with this game. I don't have any faith in my team.
All right. Well, my Survivor pick this week is Cincinnati. And I think it's going to be a lot of people's Survivor pick. But, I don't love going the chalky route in Survivor. But, yeah, it just seems like a lock and load type of spot. But anyway, yeah, should be a really solid game. I think this is a game that you definitely want to target DFS-wise. Definitely a game stack type of game. Pittsburgh at Atlanta, 42 total in this game. Atlanta, a 3-point favorite. We'll start here with the Pittsburgh side of things. Art Smith going to be taking over calling plays here. We know how much we love Art Smith. I think they're going to run the ball just as much as they ran the ball last year, if not more. I don't think Russell Wilson's going to push the ball down the field or anything. I do expect Pickens to be the alpha wide receiver here, but I expect a lot of scheme for Harris and Warren to get a lot of touches out of the backfield, kind of what we saw in Atlanta with Algier and Bijan and Cordell, which Cordell came over with Art Smith, their best friends. So what are your thoughts here on the Steelers?
Yeah, a little revenge game for Art Smith. Should be
right out of the bat.
A fun game. No, but like you mentioned, he loves to run the ball. He loves to use multiple running backs. I will note, Jalen Warren's dealing with a hamstring injury. Sounds like they might, just ease him into action a little bit. So maybe it's a Najee Harris game. He looked pretty good at times last year. And then George Pickens, if I'm the Falcons, I'm going to put A.J. Terrell on him, one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. I know wide receiver cornerback matchups are kind of taboo in DFS these days. They used to be the hot thing, but he's one of the cornerbacks that I do have a lot of respect for. So that worries me with Pickens a little bit. Maybe you can get some value with Van Jefferson or Pat Freiermuth, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to go too crazy with the Steelers. I like that the game's indoors. Not the worst matchup, but I'll probably just play some Najee and move on.
Yeah, like you mentioned with Warren, if he's even limited for this game, I think what Art Smith's going to do here is, definitely get Pickens and Harris involved. So, yeah, wide receiver cornerback matchups, they're whatever to me, but there are a couple corners, like you mentioned, that you just kind of note. Freiermuth, FanDuel, I think Freiermuth is really interesting because he's so touchdown dependent, and I don't think that's necessarily going to change here. So Freiermuth is okay. I think there's a lot of better tight end options overall, and one of them's on the other side of this game. We got Falcons here. Just a complete overhaul. Morris, a head coach. Zach Robinson, who's coming in here as the offensive coordinator. I expect him to throw more. I think everyone kind of expects them to throw more. They built this team to throw. They brought in Kirk Cousins. They have Drake London. They got Mooney. They got Ray McLeod, Kyle Pitts, and obviously Bijan Robinson. And it seems like Bijan Robinson might see a much more increased role this year and be trusted a lot more as a 3-down type of back. Tyler Algier is still there, but what are we doing here with the Falcons?
Yeah, I think Drake London's a really good receiver. I wanted to play him so often last year, but couldn't trust Arthur Smith, couldn't trust any of the quarterbacks that they threw out there. So I think it's a double upgrade for him with Cousins under center, with the new coach and the new system in there. I think I'm going to be overweight on him. It's not the best matchup in the world, but I think he's got a lot of upside. Don't have a ton of ownership on him at the moment, about 10%. So give me some Drake London. You mentioned Bijan. I think he's definitely going to have a big year. He's one of those guys that was going top 2 in season-long drafts. So I think you just kind of play those two and go on from there. I do think I'm higher on the Falcons than most of the people in the industry probably, except for Kyle Pitts. I just can't do it. Burn me 1,000 times. I eventually gotta got to get off of him. So no Pitts for me, but I like London. I like Bijan quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean Pitts. I'm going to do it one more time. I'm going to give Kurt.
Too many
times. But it was Desmond Ridder and Art Smith. It wasn't Kirk Cousins. Like Kirk Cousins utilizes his tight ends a ton. And like Zach Robinson, I feel like is going to be more offensive minded as far as throwing the ball too. So I'm going to give Kyle Pitts like one more chance. And like he'll probably have like one catch, and we'll come on here next week and we'll be like, yeah, we shouldn't have played Kyle Pitts. And then next week he'll go for like 10 and 140 and something, and really tilt us. But yeah, I mean, I love Drake London. I'm with you. I have a ton of interest in Drake London this week. I'm glad that he's not getting a ton of like steam, and I hope that kind of continues. So a lot of interest in Bijan, a lot of interest in Drake London, and here we go again with Kyle Pitts. I will say, like, I'll probably build some double stacks with Kirk Cousins, Drake London, Drake London, and Mooney. I think Mooney is just really cheap across the industry, and I think Mooney has a good chance to get 5 to 6 targets here and just needs to break one of those at his price. So I'll probably do some Kirk Cousins double stacks, just kind of believing in the system. I'm buying into the system that they're going to be running in Atlanta. Minnesota at New York. Giants 41 total in this game. 2.5 favorite here for Minnesota Vikings. We'll go Vikings first. New look Vikings. Sam Darnold at quarterback. Aaron Jones. Obviously, we have very talented wide receivers here with Justin Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson hurt. What are we doing here with the Vikings with Sam Darnold at quarterback?
Yeah, this game, 41 total, doesn't look great, but still one of my favorites on the slate. The Vikings with Kevin O'Connell, they love to throw the ball. They love to, push the pace a little bit. And then, you have reports from Giants practice that Daniel Jones has looked good when they've, played some hurry-up offense. And Brian Daboll, he doesn't mind, picking up the pace too. So I think this game has some sneaky shootout potential. Probably won't play a ton of Darnold, but Justin Jefferson with no Hawkinson. Jordan Addison's banged up. He's probably going to suit up, but I think we're just going to see a bunch of targets go to Jefferson. And I'll play a little bit of Aaron Jones with his new team. And then on the other side, Jones to Malik Neighbors. That's one of my favorite stacks on the board. Super cheap. Jones is 5.4K. Neighbors under 6K on DraftKings. And I just don't think there's a lot of other weapons that they have offensively. No more Saquon. There's not a lot of competition for targets. We saw in the preseason, Neighbors was just awesome and just getting a ton of usage. So love the Jones Neighbor stack. Bring it back with Jefferson. Nice little mini game stack there. And probably going to be overweight on all three.
Yeah, I think like my two favorite pieces from Minnesota is Jefferson and Aaron Jones. Like the Giants got shredded last season on the run. They just were absolutely, I think they allowed the 4th most rushing yards, and I think they were 29th in DVOA and graded out as like 28th in run defense. So on PFF, like I think Aaron Jones has a lot of opportunity in this spot. If he's running well, I don't know how much they'll use Ty Chandler, and I think Aaron Jones has 2 touchdown upside. So I don't even mind like Daniel Jones, Neighbors, Jones. I'm with you going over to the Giants side. I have a lot of interest in Neighbors. Like, I think this guy is just going to get peppered with targets, whether you want to play Daniel Jones or not. Like, this dude is just going to get peppered with targets. And I think it's just one of those roles where we're going to play some. A lot of people are going to play Neighbors. Do we have like interest, like to take some shots on Wan'Dale Robinson at all? Like hoping that maybe he falls into the end zone here?
No. I tried that too many times. I mean, his ADOT last year was like negative almost because he would just get a bunch of 1-2 yard passes. I don't know, 4.1K. If he was 3K min salary, I'd maybe have a little more interest. But there's so many good values on the slate. I just don't think I can do it.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it earlier, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have a lot of Neighbors, and I was like, where do I pivot to get a little different? And I just don't know if it's any of these wide receivers. I mean, if anybody, maybe it's a guy like Hyatt who can like run the deep ball or something and catch one deep ball at like minimum salary. So, but yeah, a lot of interest in Neighbors. Carolina at New Orleans, 42 total in this game. Saints, a 4-point favorite. We'll start here on the Carolina side. New head coach who's going to come in and call plays as well. It's the Tampa Bay guy. Like he pretty much took Baker Mayfield out of nothing last year and made it work. Do we we don't necessarily think Bryce Young's terrible. I think everyone can kind of agree Bryce Young is probably undersized. What are we doing with Carolina in this spot?
Yeah, I mean, Dave Canales, mentioned new head coach, came out and said he wants to run the ball a bunch. So I don't know, kind of ease Bryce Young into things probably. I have more interest in Chuba Hubbard than I do the passing game. I know we got some new weapons in terms of receivers, but yeah, I mean, Chuba Hubbard, clear RB1, should get pretty decent workload. 5.3K on DraftKings. I think he's an easy salary saver for me. And then I'll probably just take a wait and see with the passing game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably run out a little bit of Johnson just because, Bryce Young made Adam Thielen a top 3 wide receiver a couple times last year. So I think, Johnson is much better wide receiver than Thielen at this time of his career. So I think Deontay is someone I'll take shots on. But I'm with you on Hubbard. I have a lot more interest in Hubbard. I also don't love this game. I think this game has the potential to be really slow with two offenses trying to kind of run the ball more. Saints side, I kind of just said it. I'm worried about them running the ball too much. I love Olave and Shaheed. Those are two guys that I want to see succeed because I think they're just uber talented. You always worry about Jamal Williams or Taysom Hill taking goal line backs or goal line runs away from Kamara. Saints are kind of a mess. Any interest in the Saints here?
Man, I'm seeing some massive projections on Alvin Kamara, which surprised me a little bit. We don't have him projected all that highly at RotoGrinders. So we'll see what that looks like at the end of the week. But, I mean, Panthers dead last in DVOA against the run, dead last in EPA against the run last year. So I guess it makes sense from the matchup standpoint, and they are home favorites where we typically like running backs. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't feel great about Kamara. I do like Olave a little bit more this season, but probably not going to play a ton of him here. Yeah, low total game. Doesn't have shootout potential like I think some of the others do.
We should mention, too, Carolina allowed the fewest passing yards per game last year, 183. No team went into Carolina and just lit them up. And, I mean, it's a lot of pace things, too. It's not just, defensive things. So I just don't think there's a lot of ceiling here for these guys, even though I love the talent for Olave and Shaheed. It's just, I hate the pace potential. Speaking of pace potential, this one here, Cincinnati and the Patriots, 40.5 total. Cincinnati, a 9-point favorite. New England, probably the worst team in the NFL coming into the season, in my opinion. I think this team is going to be atrociously bad. I mean, wide receiver wise, they're awful. Quarterback wise, they're going with Brissett. The one person that I bet Stevenson's rushing prop already because Cincinnati kind of struggled against the run last year anyway. But overall, man, I don't know if I even want to play Stevenson in this game because I think the game is just going to be so awful and lopsided.
Yeah, right there with you. New head coach, Jared Mayo, says he wants to run the ball and control the clock, which is exactly what I would say if I had Jacoby Brissett, Jalen Polk, Demario Douglas, and KJ Osborne on my team. So, I mean, I don't mind Stevenson. He's going to be the answer to one of my questions in the morning grind game here at the end of the show. But, yeah, I don't have a ton of faith in anyone on the Patriots outside of him. The nice part with Stevenson is, really good pass catcher out of the backfield. So, they do get behind, which is very likely here. Brissett might be, Captain Jet down and get him a lot of cheap points in garbage time.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. Bengals side here, Jamar Chase practice, which is great on Wednesday. Patriots defense for years was this really, really good defense. Last year, they were excellent against the run. They were so against the pass. What are we doing here with the Bengals?
Yeah, I don't know. It's nice to see Chase back in practice, like you mentioned, but I don't know. It seems like the Bengals really go off when nobody's on them. The Burrow stacks tend to play well when they're not that popular. So I might have a little interest in large field stuff for Burrow and Chase, Burrow and Higgins, something like that. I'm probably going to stay away from the backfield for now. Chase Brown, Zach Moss, probably going to be splitting a lot of work there. But yeah, I mean, Chase can always break the slate. So even though he hasn't been practicing a bunch, I wouldn't fade him completely.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get really low ownership, I feel like, on the Burrow Chase stack in a game where Zach Moss is going to be the starter here for now, but I eventually think it's going to be Chase Brown. So we'll talk about Chase Brown in a few weeks, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, I like the Burrow stack. I feel like they're going to come out throwing in this game and try to get ahead in this game and make the Patriots play from behind.
Yep.
All right. One of my, if not my favorite games of the weekend, Tennessee at Chicago, 45 total in this game. The Bears, a 4-point favorite. We'll go Tennessee Titans first. Obviously, new head coach who is going to also call plays. I'm excited about Brian Callahan coming into Tennessee because, I mean, they just built this team to throw the ball. Look at what they did. They brought in Pollard. They have Spears. They have two guys that can catch the ball in the backfield. They went out and they got Calvin Ridley. They brought in Tyler Boyd. And I feel like we're just going to get gunslinger Will Levis. And probably one of my favorite low-owned stacks on the weekend is going to be Levis and whoever I want. Like, if Hopkins is good to go, I'll probably play some Hopkins. If Hopkins stays banged up, I'll play Calvin Ridley. I'll play Tyler Boyd. Boyd knows the system. So, I have a lot of interest in Tennessee this week.
You know who's really excited about the Titans is our boy Soccer Dave. I was listening to the Swolecast before this, and he's all in on the Titans this year. You mentioned Will Levis, being a little bit of a gunslinger. I love the Bears defense. I think they're going to get out to a lead and hopefully just force him to air it out a little bit. Their defense is much improved. Their coach is a defensive-minded head coach. So I like the Bears D quite a bit in this one. But, Titans got a lot of weapons now. You mentioned Ridley, Hopkins, Boyd. Don't want to play Pollard just yet. I think he's going to split time with Tajay Spears. But, yeah, I could see it in large field stuff. I just I don't know. I'm playing the Bears D. And if anything, the Bears D get a couple touchdowns. It's going to be good for your Levis stacks anyway because he's going to have to air it out even more.
So I have the Chicago Bears defense written down as well. I'm with you. As much as I like Levis, they're going to chuck. I have no doubt in my mind that Tennessee is going to come out and chuck this year. That's what their offense is set up for if you look at their skill positions. So a lot of interest in the Titans, a lot of interest in the Bears. This is just one of those spots where another coaching change. We have another new offensive coordinator coming in. Play calling wise, and they're going to throw more. They drafted Caleb Williams. They went out and got Keenan Allen. They brought in DeAndre Swift. The Bears are going to be exciting this year, whether it's good or bad. Both of these teams, I feel like, are going to be exciting, whether it be good or bad this year, because they're going to be offenses that throw more.
Yeah, I like the Bears a little bit more than I like the Titans here. Caleb Williams, all these rookie quarterbacks feel a little underpriced this week, so get him under 6K on DraftKings. Pair him up with DJ Moore. Even Odunze, it seems like he's a little too cheap on DraftKings at 4K. And then, Swift and Herbert, pretty good running back duo there. Could definitely see some points going up in this one. I don't think Caleb's going to be my top 5 quarterback plays, but he's close to it, I think, this week.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that Odunze, his FanDuel price was just so much higher than his DraftKings price this week. So, if you play on multiple sites, definitely one of those weeks you really want to be paying attention to salary. Arizona at Buffalo, taking on the Bills, 48 total in this game. The Bills a 6.5 point favorite. We'll start here with Arizona. I think a lot of people are excited about this Arizona team. Obviously, Marvin Harrison coming in. Kyler Murray looked healthy towards the end of last year. What do we like here with Arizona?
Yeah, Kyler played a lot better than I expected last year. Drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. with the 4th overall pick. That's going to help him a bunch. Facing a Bills defense that is not very good. They were one of the worst in the NFL last season. Already lost Matt Milano. Sounds like they're going to start DeMar Hamlin this week, which, he didn't even see the field much at all last year. So they're certainly thin on the back end of their defense. So I love the Murray to Harrison stacks. Anytime James Conner's healthy, I think you got to play him in DFS. He's one of those guys that nobody likes to play. I don't know why, but he's always a good bet for 20 touches. Pretty good knack for finding the end zone too. Probably won't play, Dortch or Wilson, but I do like the Murray to Harrison stacks a lot this week.
Yeah, I think I'll end up being underweight on Harrison this week just because I feel like by the end of the week happens, like this game's already getting steamed. Like it's already a game that a lot of people are starting to talk about and game stacking. And like I hear them, I hear what they're saying, and I agreed with it outside of like the ownership. Like now that it's like starting to get more popular, like I wouldn't be shocked if we open the slate up on Sunday and this is like one of the highest owned games where I mean, Monday or even Sunday, you're like, hey, this game could potentially be overlooked a little bit, but I like the Murray to Harrison stacks. I love the James Conner pivot, and I really like the McBride pivot. That's where I would get different with Arizona here because I want to play some Josh Allen. I mean, like, there's no secret. Like, Josh Allen as a fantasy quarterback, just his ceiling is massive. It's a great matchup against Arizona. I mean, they got absolutely shredded by the run last year. So, like, you could potentially play some James Cook. Who are they going to throw the ball to? I think is a lot of people's question. But I like the Allen Kincaid stacks. I think that is where I'm going to stack my Josh Allen, get my Josh Allen exposure this week.
Give me all the Kincaid this week, right there with you. Probably my favorite play of any position. Like you mentioned, who else is he going to throw the ball to? He's got one receiver that was even on the roster last year in Khalil Shakur. Outside of that, Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, Matt Collins. I mean, he's just going to pepper Kincaid with targets. It's a good matchup, too. Arizona's always, kind of struggled against tight ends. So love the Kincaid play. Like the Cook play, too. You can even pair him with Josh Allen because he does, run a lot of deep routes. He's had a lot of deep touchdowns caught from Allen. So maybe you look at like an Allen Cook Kincaid stack, get a little bit different with it if you are looking for, unique ways to stack the Bills rather than Allen and two pass catchers. But yeah, love the Bills. I think Allen's just lock and low play for cash games.
Before we move on to the next game, I am just somewhat curious. Like, if you had to pick like one of these wide receivers, like who would be your favorite?
Shakir. I just think he's the one guy that Allen knows, and he kind of came alive during the playoffs a little bit. I think 5.1 isn't the best price point, but if I'm playing any of them, it's definitely going to be him, I think.
Yeah, I think the right answer is Kincaid.
Yeah.
But like I was more curious on the wide receivers. I'm with you. Shakir would probably be my favorite. I don't hate the idea of getting some Curtis Samuel. Like Curtis Samuel early in the year when he's not getting sore from being old. I think you could definitely take some shots on him. Houston at Indy, 49 total in this game. Houston a 3-point favorite. Like for all the games that are on this slate, I feel like this game is kind of going overlooked. Like we're getting a lot of ownership on Taylor just in general. But like there's not a lot of love in this game. I think people are just kind of afraid of like what's going to happen with Stephon Diggs. Like how is that going to affect Nico Collins and Tank Dell? And like I hear that, but I mean, if you build multiple teams and you and I are more single entry, smaller field, 3-entry max type players, but like I do dabble in, 20-entry max and playing a little bit more NFL stuff, but like I want some exposure to Houston. Like I think this game on the turf in Indy, like this game has so much potential, and it's just like you're gonna have to kind of figure out the right pieces to play. But I mean, I think the potential is there.
Yeah, I think Stroud has a huge game. I would argue he might have the best receiving core in the NFL. Nico, Diggs, Dell, and Dalton Schultz. I mean, that's 4 awesome guys to throw the ball to. And I mean, Mixon, I don't feel that great about Mixon. So I think they're going to throw the ball a bunch in this one. And it's indoors, which is always a plus. Definitely has shootout potential. Love Stroud. I just don't know who to pair him with. If I had to pick one, it'd probably be Nico. But, I mean, he's not cheap at all. If I'm paying $7K plus for a wide receiver, I want a clear wide receiver one,
Yeah, I think I'll end up like double stacking Stroud a lot instead of just trying to pick one. I think Stroud has the upside to throw 4 touchdowns in this game. So like I think if we can get 2 or 3 touchdowns out of my combo wide receivers or tight end, like if I'm playing Stroud, most of my Stroud stacks I feel like will be double stacks. Like it won't be single type stacks with Stroud. It'll be, kind of figuring out who I want to double stack him with. I agree with you on Mixon. I feel like Mixon's just kind of there. And like, he's not a bad running back by any means, but he's just going to kind of open things up for Stroud, if anything else. So not going to be playing a lot of Mixon. Colts, I'm really excited about this team too. Anthony Richardson, before getting hurt, was a fantasy goldmine. Like, I think the week that he got hurt and knocked out for the season, like he had 2 rushing touchdowns in the first quarter of that game. What are we doing here with the Colts?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Richardson topped 20 fantasy points twice in the first half, and then got hurt in both of those games. So the upside's there. He's got the rushing upside, and I mean he's got some weapons too. So love Richardson, and he's more of a DraftKings play for me. He's 6.3 over there on FanDuel. He's one of the most expensive quarterbacks of the week. So probably not going to play a ton of him there unless you just want to play the ownership game, get him real low owned on FanDuel. You can, but definitely better point per dollar option on DraftKings. Taylor's fine. Got to think he's gonna get 20 plus touches in a good matchup at home. The thing with Richardson, do you just play him solo or do you pair him up with someone? I kind of like the punt with Kylan Granson inside in.
Yeah, I don't mind Granson, and I mean Pittman is just that guy. Like he's that guy. Like he's such a good wide receiver. I mean, I'm a little concerned about like Downs' target share because I do think Mitchell is very talented too. So I think for this week, if I'm pairing Richardson, it's definitely looking at like Pittman or Granson. Richardson, you can play him by yourself. There's very few quarterbacks in the NFL that you could play by themselves, but I mean, this guy, he could run 2 or 3 touchdowns in by himself. So yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily feel like I have to pair him, but yeah, I have interest in Pittman. I have a lot of interest in Taylor too. Houston is a team you could definitely run the ball against. So I have some interest in Taylor, but if he's going to be like, he was one of the chalkiest running backs when like our initial projected ownership came out for this week. And I was like, that's an easy underweight play for me. Just because Anthony Richardson could take one of the touchdowns away. I mean, just easily. So, all right. That's it for the East Coast games or the 1:00 games. Now we got 4:00 games. We got 4 of them this week. We'll start here with the Raiders and Chargers, 40.5 total in this game. The Chargers a 3-point favorite. The mustache back in our lives. Gardner Minshew starting here for the Raiders for this week anyway. What are we doing here with the Raiders? We get a offensive coordinator who's going to be play calling and Getsy, who probably is going to try to establish the run more here. And a Chargers team that is definitely going to run more. No doubt. Like, this is a game that I really worry about game script more than I think any other game on this slate.
Yeah, worry about a lot of things with this game, especially from a pace perspective. Antonio Pierce, old school coach, wants to run the ball, wants to play good defense, and the Raiders do have very good defense. So I think maybe Zamir White could be interesting at 5.7K. Josh Jacobs now with the Packers. You do have some Devontae Adams revenge. I don't know if you saw that on the RG Narrative Street Twitter earlier today, but I guess the Chargers posted a picture of him and some Pop-Tarts that said garbage on it or something. So he's pretty mad about that. So if you want to play that narrative, you can. I think Brock Bowers is interesting, but, rookie tight end, generally not a great bet in the first couple weeks of the season. So I don't know. I don't feel great about anybody. Probably have a little bit of Zamir White, and that's all.
Yeah, I mean, White, Adams, probably it for me. And then on the Chargers side, we got co-starters. They listed them as co-starters here with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. I mean, listen, I don't trust anything. Nothing. Justin Herbert going to be a full-on game manager this year. His lead receiver is like Josh Palmer or McConkey. Like, DJ Chark might not play, which could potentially bump up maybe taking some shots on McConkey. I think his role would be a lot better potentially, but I don't want nothing to do with the Chargers. I feel like not in this running back situation, not game manager Herbert with Harbaugh. Like, this just screams awful situation.
I can't believe Harbaugh left his position to come here to this. Maybe he'll surprise us. I don't know. Herbert's good. Everyone else offensively just not great. So I'm with you. Will Disley and Hayden Hurst are their tight ends. Don't love either of them. It's funny that Edwards and Dobbins ended up in the same team again. I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to play really anybody from this game. If I'm building 3 lineups, this is one I've just crossed off.
All right, we got Denver at Seattle, 42 total in this game. Seattle a 6-point favorite. Bo Nix in our lives here in Denver, another young guy. His wide receiver core questionable, I feel like, at best. What are we doing here with Denver?
Yeah, basically take what I said about the Chargers and just paste it here for the Broncos. Don't have a lot of interest. Wait and see approach for me with Bo Nix in the passing game. Does look like Jaleel McLaughlin is getting a little bit of ownership just because it's 4.3 price tag on DraftKings. But I don't think we need like that many value plays this week because it's week 1 and everyone's kind of underpriced.
Yeah, I mean, I just overall not a lot of interest here in Denver. I will play like some JSN and some Metcalf and maybe some Walker in this game. So like I might end up running it back with like maybe some Mims or Sutton or something just to like have a little mini game stack, but I don't think you necessarily have to do that either. The Seattle side, I mean, listen, these 2 defenses were 2 of the worst defenses in the NFL last year. So is there some potential here? Yeah. I don't know who to trust at running back. I'm going to play Walker and just kind of hope that he's the guy. I mean, it's a great spot. This team, I could get, like I said, they were awful against the run last year, 31st in DVOA, 3rd most rushing yards per game allowed. So a lot of interest in Walker. And then, like I said, I'll play some JSN. I'll play some Metcalf. I do think that the new system that we're going to see in Seattle is going to open up some downfield throws. So, I mean, you could see that like slot kind of go route that like Tyler Lockett loves to run and have like a big touchdown every once in a while. But I really do think like Metcalf, JSN are going to be the guys in this offense this year.
Yeah, expectations are high in Seattle offensively. Yeah, you mentioned new offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. I think they're going to be good. I want to double stack Geno because he's cheap. Metcalf is cheap. JSN is cheap. And Lockett's a little bit banged up. So I kind of want to double stack. But then you have to bring it back or at least have the Broncos be competitive. And I'm worried about that. So I'm kind of with you. Maybe play some Walker with the Seahawks defense, get a little correlation there. But I think it just feels like everyone on Seattle is underpriced. So I'm probably going to have exposure, even though I do worry about the competitiveness of the game.
Yeah, definitely the competitiveness is the thing that drives you crazy with potentially playing this one. But I'm with you. I think Geno double stacks because of the price. Really interesting in this spot. Just, gosh, Cortland Sutton again. Here we go. I mean, I prefer, I think I really do. I think I prefer just taking the ultimate savings with like Mims.
We've been waiting for Mims for years. So this is it.
Yeah. I mean, here's your chance, guy. Do your thing. Washington at Tampa, 43.5 total in this game, 3-point favorite for Tampa. Potential weather, but like Kevin Roth was like kind of just saying we're going to have to wait and see what Sunday looks like. Welcome to Florida. I mean, I live in Florida. Every day the rain is different. Like you can't project rain on a Wednesday for Florida. One of the things I think coming into the season I'm just most excited about is just Jaden Daniels. I know there's been a lot of talk about like Caleb Williams and stuff, but I am very excited about Daniels. I think that he has an arm. He has Terry McLaurin, who's a fantastic wide receiver. Brian Robinson can catch the ball in the backfield. Eckler can catch the ball in the backfield. And Daniels can run. I mean, he has upside with his legs, so I'm going to have some Daniels McLaurin stacks this week. I don't necessarily love picking on the run game here for Tampa, but I definitely like picking on the passing game. They're a funnel defense, and I want some Daniels this week.
Right there with you. One of my favorite stacks of the week. I was just looking at Daniels rushing prop. It's at 39.5 on most books. So got that high floor with the rushing attack. And then McLaurin has like no competition for targets. You got De'Ami Brown, Zacchaeus, and then Zach Ertz, tight end, the guy that runs 6-yard routes and just falls down when he catches it. So yeah, McLaurin 5.6K. Give me all the McLaurin this week. What about the Bucks?
Coming into the year, I just have a ton of interest in Godwin, and I don't think that necessarily going to change this week. Washington just got absolutely shredded by the pass last year. So I don't know how much Mike Evans I will play, and I don't know how much Baker I will play, but I know I'll play a lot of Chris Godwin this week. He's the guy that I'm very high on. I'll also play some Cade Otton. I think Cade Otton at tight end is interesting. I don't know if I need White this week because I feel like there's just so many good running back plays, but he would be the running back I would play in this offense. But it's Chris Godwin for me, and I just kind of hope that Mike Evans doesn't have that 2-touchdown game.
Yeah, you mentioned they were really bad, so I just pulled up the numbers. Dead last in DVOA against the pass, dead last in EPA against the pass, bottom 3 in fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. So, yeah, they were really bad last year. Probably going to be a little bit better, but yeah, I like the Godwin call, 5.8K on a full PPR site like DraftKings. I think that's probably the route I want to go to. In cash games, Rachaad White's always solid. He's going to get a lot of checkdowns, going to be a good red zone threat. So those two would be my favorites as well.
All right, we finish out the main slate, and I know chat's asking about the Thursday night football game. We do the main slate. I mean, that's what we do here. There'll be showdown shows on RotoGrinders Live, but we're just going to do the main slate each and every week here on the Morning Grind NFL show. We finish out Dallas at Cleveland, 42.5 total in this game. Cleveland, a slight 2.5-point favorite. Is there anything on this Dallas side that you're excited to take shots on here?
I mean, I had to do a double take when I saw the team total for Dallas. Under 20 points. I didn't think that would happen all year. And it's week 1. I know Cleveland's defense is, elite. I know it's on the road, tough environment. But, man, 19 points is a really low team total. I'll play some CeeDee Lamb, maybe a little bit of Ferguson. But those are 5+ lineup type of plays. They're not going to make my core plays by any means. And I'll wait and see with the running backs. I mean, Rico Dowdle, I don't mind taking some of the overs on his props, but not somebody I'm playing in DFS this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird not to have interest in Ferguson and see because they're just so incredibly talented and their ceiling's massive. But I find myself just not liking them. I mean, these are two of the better defenses in the NFL. They're both top 5 in overall DVOA last year. They're two really good defenses. Like Cleveland, their defense got stronger this offseason. So I hate this spot for Dallas. And honestly, I can't get excited about Cleveland either. I mean, Amari Cooper, maybe. Watson is going to be boom or bust, and I feel like this is the year. You have options around you. We watched old man Flacco do his thing and, make a run here with Cleveland, but what are we doing with the Browns against the Cowboys?
I mean, I have less interest in the Browns than I do the Cowboys, and that's saying something because I'm not playing a lot of Dallas guys. But the chat's pretty high on Jerome Ford. It sounds like 5.5K home running back. Nick Chubb's still out, so maybe you could look at him in tournaments. But Amari Cooper revenge game. Has it been too long to be revenge?
I think it's been too long, but I don't hate Jerome Ford for what it's worth. I mean, Njoku maybe. Both of the tight ends in this game are somewhat interesting, but I don't know. Both these defenses are so good. It's so hard to get excited, but Chubb being out, Ford is going to be a workhorse here, but I mean, can we really get excited about playing Ford with all the good running back plays that we have this week?
Not excited, no. But yeah. There's a chance.
I will say this though, I will have some exposure to both of these defenses because both of these defenses get after the quarterback. They were first and second in pressure last season, so I will have interest, or I will be playing both of these defenses. I know somewhat expensive and whatnot, but yeah, I mean, this is two defenses that are going to get after the quarterback, open up sacks, open up hurry ups, which opens up interceptions. So yeah, I think overall, I just don't love this game. It's just one of those games where you're sitting here going, do I bet the under? I know it's Dallas, but do I bet the under? I mean, it's definitely something I thought about. So, all right, we're done. We broke it down. Main slate in the books. Let's play the morning grind game, and we'll get out of here. Didn't really switch up the morning grind game too much from last year. It worked, and it was fun. So that's what we're going to roll with again this year. So question number 1 is quarterback for 300 plus passing yards.
All right, so I don't know if you knew this or not, but if you roster CJ Stroud this week, he just automatically comes with the 300 plus yard bonus on DraftKings.
Oh, okay.
So that's my answer.
Yeah, there you go. Is that really a thing? Like, you're messing with me, right?
No, it's guaranteed.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Is that a sports book thing?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying.
Oh, you
you
really had me. No, you had me going. Like, I was like sitting here going, what? So, all right. I feel dumb. Listen, I'm going to go to my gunslinger here right off the bat. I'm very high on this guy. I already bet his over. Give me Levis to throw for 300 plus yards here in opening week. Low owned running back for a touchdown. It is Wednesday night. Ownership will change. We're looking at ownership that we have right now. Who's a low owned running back you think is going to score a touchdown?
Don't feel great about it. I'm going to go Ramondre Stevenson. Probably going to be the only touchdown that the Patriots score if he does get in.
Yeah, worried about that team scoring points at all. Just in general, scoring points. We were talking about it. I mean, it's the first game that we talked about. Give me ETN to score a touchdown this week. Might be through the air, but it's still a touchdown. Doesn't have to be a rushing touchdown, just a touchdown.
I like give me way better.
I mean, I was shocked. ETN is just like very low owned this week, and it's like, I mean, he's not really competing much. Quarterback, wide receiver stack for a touchdown.
All right, I'm going with the cheap stack that I talked up earlier. Daniel Jones to Malik Neighbors. I just think he's going to get 10 plus targets in this one. Pretty good matchup too. So give me them.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit. I am going to go back to a game that we talked about way long ago. Give me Kirk Cousins to Drake, our boy London here. Like, I'm just all over Atlanta. I'm a believer. I really am. I think Kirk Cousins is better than people give him credit for. Wide receiver for 8+ targets.
Justin Jefferson, no Hawkinson. Jordan Addison's banged up. I like that game environment. Like I said, I'm going to be stacking it on the other side with Jones and Neighbors. So just build that little mini stack there with Jefferson.
Scary Terry, baby. Give me Terry McLaurin. It is just, listen, if there's ever a time for this dude to go off, this is it. I mean, there's just no competition whatsoever for him. I was writing up some props for him like before we got rolling here because I'm just in. I'm in. Tight end for a touchdown.
So the easy answer is Dalton Kincaid, but we don't want to cop out with that one. I'm going to go real off the board. I'm going to go Kylan Granson from Anthony Richardson, 2.9K on DraftKings.
You went off the board. I feel like I'm going off the board too. I have Cade Otton written down here, so give me Cade Otton to score a touchdown this week. Defense that's going to score 10+ points.
For the same reasons you like the Titans, the same reasons I like the Bears defense. I think Levis is going to throw the ball a bunch, and that could create a lot of turnovers. So give me the Bears defense.
The Bears. I like it. I'm going to go. I hate this because the offense is just so incredibly talented, but I believe in this defense so much. Give me the Cleveland Browns to score 10+ points this week. Under just such a good defense, just so good. Go to the betting portion of the show here. Do you have an against the spread or money line bet that you like here?
Yeah, a little life edge. I'm going to go Dolphins -3.5 over my Jags. I'm going to be betting some all lines too. I think they put up a ton of points, and Jags will probably put up some points too, but I think they cover pretty easily.
Yeah, so that is mine too. Awesome. I do have another one that I bet earlier today. It's not on the main slate, and I'm just going to give it out because that you took my pick too. And let's give the people what they want. I'm going to take Philadelphia -2.5 against Green Bay on Friday night. Right, that game's on Friday night. So Friday night game, Philadelphia -2.5. I think Philly is going to get their crap together this year, and they're going to play some football. So I like Philly to cover at 2.5. I bet that one earlier, so that's why I knew that one. Over-under bet.
Kind of a chalky answer. I'm going Arizona Buffalo over 48.5. I just love both offenses and both the defenses very bad, especially the secondary. So that's what I'm rolling with. And hopefully that game doesn't get steamed like we talked about, but I'm sure it will.
I'm going to go over in the Tennessee-Chicago game. I know it doesn't really shock anybody after listening to the podcast. I'm very high on this game in general. I think this game has a lot of potential to go over. And we have two play callers in this game that are going to throw more, which is really good for overs. So give me the over in the Tennessee-Chicago Bears game. We finish out the betting portion here with a player prop, or you can go with a fantasy pick 'em play, whichever one you're feeling here.
Yeah, I know you're going to like this one. I'll go with Terry McLaurin over 59.5 yards. I'm also fine with his reception prop. I think that's at 4.5. So that feels really good. I like both of those.
Get off my picks, man. You do your yards. Let me. I got Terry McLaurin over 4.5 reception as my player prop this week. I think there is a lot of upside to that one. Like I said, I mentioned this earlier. I bet Drake London's over receiving yards at 61.5. I don't know what it's at anymore, but I'm very high on that one as well. I wrote it up on Scores and Odds. So you can check that out. 3-pick parlay. We got to have the 3-pick parlay. Can't do the morning grind without the morning grind 3-pick parlay. I do have the 3-pick parlay. Let me pull up my Hard Rock app. I have a 3-bet pick parlay for everyone for week 1. It is plus 581. We have the over in the Titans-Bears game. I just mentioned 44.5. The under in the Patriots-Bengals game at 41. I am afraid the Patriots don't score at all in that game. And I like the over in the Washington-Tampa Bay game at 43.5. That's my morning grind 3-pick parlay for this week. And I just posted in chat the link to the RotoGrinders morning grind free roll. And if you win that one, we'll do swag. Whoever wins the week 1 will get some RotoGrinders swag. Noto, it's always fun, man. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? Week 1.
So good to be back on the show. Pumped for Sunday. If anybody's playing Showdown, I have free Showdown articles for every primetime game. So I already got the one up for Thursday, working on the one for Friday. I'll have the Sunday, Monday ones up too. So it's fun doing the show with you. And, let's have a good year, my dude.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Like the show just got me excited, right? Like I was like, NFL's back. It's exhausting, but now that like we've gotten through the show, I can't wait. Like let's just fast forward to Sunday and play some football. We got the NASCAR playoffs getting kicked off, so I'll be split screening for sure on Sunday. That's gonna wrap it up for week 1. We're back week 2 next Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and we will see you then.